new national Reuters Ipsos poll has Harris ahead by 5 points. Let's take a look at that right now. CNN's Harry Enten is here with much more. Harry, can you give us some context around that margin and the movement that you're seeing in polling post-debate?
Yeah, I think it's rather important, Kate, to point out that the Reuters Ipsos poll has actually been one of Harris's best. So look, you get that 5-point margin, right? That 47-42 that you mentioned post-debate. But that's actually not a lot of movement from where we were in August when Harris was up by 4. Now, that is movement from where we were in late July when Harris was up by 2. But the bottom line here is this. At least in the first polling that we're getting post this debate between Donald Trump and Kamala Harris, maybe slight movement in Harris's direction, but not overwhelmingly so, which I don't think is really much of a surprise given the 50 nation we are right now. But the bottom line is, in the average of polls, Harris had a slight national lead, and at this particular point, I think she'll probably hold on to that, at least based upon this initial signal.
Yeah, didn't hurt her. Maybe, but
no.
It didn't also, like, it wasn't, you know, the nail in the coffin for a Donald Trump candidacy either, which is exactly kind of what people expected with this debate in the 50 nation we are in right now. What is the biggest difference, though, you see in polls, these polls, compared to those that came after the Biden-Trump debate in June?
Yeah, I mean, look, it all comes down to mental state and being able to deal with challenges. All right, so mental sharp and can deal with challenges. Look at this. Back in the post-June debate, right, look at that. 52% of voters said that, in fact, Trump was mentally sharp and can deal with challenges. Look at the Joe Biden number. It was just 26%. Now, look at the difference here. Look at this. 58% in the post-September debate poll said that Harris was mentally sharp and can deal with challenges. Trump's number actually dropped below 50%, down to just 46, so that 52 to 46. So this was the big change that I think a lot of Democrats are hoping for when they switched out Biden for Harris. It came down to mental sharpness, and the bottom line is the clear majority of voters believe that Kamala Harris is mentally sharp and deal with challenges, and the number for Trump, that declined by 6 points between post-June and post-September. I think that's a very welcome sign for Democrats. So on the top line, maybe not so much movement nationally, but underneath the hood, I think Democrats really have to like what they see.
In talking with people on TV from the Harris campaign and then hearing from Democrats involved with the campaign, one of the things you hear is that everyone feels they did great in the debate. The question is, can it reach the undecided voters?
Yeah.
And I'm not sure they have an answer, or at least not the answer they want yet. So it leads me to this question. Rita, what really is an undecided voter? Where are they and who are they?
Yeah, well, look, part of the challenge here is that undecided voters are undecided because they're not really focused on this campaign. They are low information voters. They tend to be younger. And likely they didn't watch the debate. They may be seeing some social media on it, but they're hard to reach voters, and they may make the difference in this race.
Are they undecided between the candidates, or are they undecided about whether they show up to vote?
Well, I think a little of both. I think one important thing to note is they probably have a pretty strong judgment about Donald Trump. They're skeptical about politics generally. They don't particularly like Trump, but they don't know very much about Kamala Harris. They're open to her, but they're also prepared to be disappointed by her as well. So a big task for the campaign is to continue to fill in the picture of her, and particularly around sort of transactional issues about the economy. Like, what is she going to do for me?
On that note, one of the things you hear in the chattering class is,
yes,
oh, you know, Kamala Harris needs more distinctive policy proposals. Is that what undecided voters want?
Well, I don't know if, you know, I don't think what she needs is a voluminous list of policies, but there may be a few signature policies that speak to the economic experience, quality of life experience of voters, in which she wants to go deeper and drive with those voters, to give a sense that, yeah, she gets it. I think she might help. I'll take a chance on her. But these voters are not going to be, this is not 2008.
Right.
This is not, they're not going to be swept along here. They're going to grudgingly conclude that I'll take a chance on this.
Which is why the Harris team, I think, genuinely does want another debate, another chance to reach people who may not be paying attention.
Yeah, I mean, the problem with her debate, John, performance, one of the problems with it is it came rather early in this. I mean, there's going to be an eternity between now and November. And so the other motivation for a second debate is it's a second chance to do well.
Yeah.
And I think they're pretty confident she would. And I think Trump's people are like, you know what, this didn't benefit us very much. Why should we take the risk of doing another?
Yeah, for all the argument that goes on out there inside a campaign, you do a debate if you think it will help you,
Right.
and you don't do it if you don't think it'll help you.
Yes.
Full stop.
Yes,
And,
yes.
you know, and that's, I think, the only analysis on the Trump team right now. They may change their mind because they think they need it, but not
I don't
right
know
now.
if they'll change their mind. He may change
Right.
his mind, and they keep goading him to try and change his mind by making it seem like he's not courageous enough to do another.
I do want your take on the Laura Loomer thing. Donald Trump has been traveling the country with her. George Bush, when I covered him in 2000, used to say you can judge the character of a man by the company he keeps. You know, Donald Trump is keeping company with this person who said just wildly racist things.
Yeah.
You know, what does he get out of that?
Including anti-Semitic,
Yeah.
by the way, which is interesting given Trump's rhetoric about that. I think, first of all, I don't pretend to live inside of Donald Trump's head, so I can't tell you exactly. But it may be that if there's a strategic reason, he's thinking, look, I got to get these people out who aren't particularly activated, or I have to get my base out, and she speaks to that base. And I don't really care what the rest of the world thinks. I'm speaking to these voters who may make the difference. And right now, this is a motivational race to try and get your base out. It's not a persuasion race. She can help persuade. You know, look, he had all those influencers who are, you know, there was a kind of exotic character to them, but they speak to like tens of millions of people.
David
Oh,
Axelrod, next time I promise there will be fireworks.
Yes,
Thanks so much.
please, arrange
Thanks so
that.
much for being here.
I insist.